in 2012 says he fears he'll be deported to Ghana next week. Kweku Adoboli was born in Ghana but left the country when he was 4 and has lived in the UK since he was 12. He served 4 years of a 7-year sentence for a £1.4 billion fraud. The Home Office says it is determined to deport foreign nationals who abuse our hospitality by committing crimes in the UK. Kweku is with us now along with his girlfriend Alice Gray. His campaign to stay in the country has been backed by more than 73,000 people and 132 MPs. And one of those MPs is the SNP's Hannah Bardell, who also joins us from Edinburgh. Welcome all of you.
Thank you.
Kweku, a judge rejected your appeal to stay in this country last week, so you're now facing an expected deadline of Monday when you think that the Home Office will seek to detain you and deport you.
Yes, there's a little bit of confusion around the deadlines for submitting an appeal to the Court of Appeal from that, what we think was a very irrational decision last week. However, nevertheless, because I've been detained before, I'm deeply concerned that when I go to report on Monday in Glasgow, that I will be detained again.
You say it was an irrational decision. A judge has evaluated your case. You have fallen foul of a law which says that a foreign national given a jail sentence of more than 4 years will be deported unless there is a very strong reason to prevent that happening. And the judge did not accept that there is any strong reason in your case for you to be able to stay here.
Yeah, in coming to that decision as to the strength of the reasons, he called into question the integrity of the evidence, the honesty of my girlfriend Alice, the honesty of my friends and family, the honesty of my lawyers, etc. And so he made this very, very aggressive ruling that I was dishonest and hadn't ever accepted my responsibility.
What he didn't accept was your argument for being allowed to stay in this country being in the public interest, because you were committed of that fraud that cost the bank that you were working for £1.4 billion. You were sentenced to jail for 7 years in 2012. Since your release, you have been campaigning for improving ethical behaviour in business, but the judge did not accept that what you've done is a strong enough reason for you to be able to stay here.
Yeah, and it's a shame that he made that decision, because 3 judges previous to him had already decided that the work was in the public interest and capable of being compelling reasons not to be deported. What he failed to understand was that there is a large community of people in the finance industry and beyond who've all been advocating, saying that we really need to make these changes in our institutions, and that the work I've been doing with the UK Army, the SAS, the Bank of England, with the Forward Institute and students across universities in the UK is directed at those changes.
I mean, as you say, there is a large community of people pushing for the changes that you're talking about and improving what is going on in terms of ethics. You committed a fraud. You were sentenced to jail. That goes completely against your status in this country, because you are not a British citizen. Your place of birth is Ghana, and under the rules you should therefore the law says you should go back. I
mean, answering that in reverse, I mean, I had indefinite leave to remain in the UK. The process for getting indefinite leave to remain is pretty much identical to becoming a British citizen. Once you get indefinite leave to remain, the next step to become a British citizen is a formality. You literally just put an application in. Now, the reason I didn't do that was because of work reasons and the fact that I couldn't submit my passport to the passport office because it would stop me from being able to travel for work. But what's more important is that the work and this community of people who say that it's really important, they represent a group of people who are trying to shift the way we think about how organisations work.
Okay, I want to bring in Hannah Bardell, because I mentioned that there are several MPs supporting you. Hannah Bardell is one of them. Why do you think he should be allowed to stay?
Well, first of all, it's important to say that we had 136 members of the UK Parliament and the Scottish Parliament that signed an open letter to the Home Secretary. We have never had a response to that letter. That letter has been passed off to the Immigration Minister. I have never had a response to the Home Secretary for my request for a meeting. I'm Kweku's constituency member of Parliament, so I've been representing him for the last 18 months, and neither I nor Kweku would deny that wrong has been done, but Kweku has served his time in prison as a model prisoner and has worked extremely hard, as you've just heard, to reform the banking system, to be engaged in his community, to give back. And I believe, as I'm sure many people out there do, in the principle of rehabilitation. And if we believe in the principle of rehabilitation, we cannot be indiscriminate with its application. We cannot decide that just because somebody's only been here since they were aged 12 or only been here for a certain amount of time, that they can't be of good use and contribute to their society. Kweku's home is in Scotland, it's in the UK, and that's where he should stay. There has serious echoes with the Windrush scandal.
I mean, the rule is clear. If a foreign national has a jail sentence of more than 4 years, they will be deported unless there's a very strong reason to prevent that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We must have rules. I absolutely accept that, but we also must be able to have discretion in the system.
And there is discretion. There is discretion, and the judge has looked at it and said that actually I don't accept there is a strong enough reason in the public interest in this case.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he's wrong. And so do many hundreds of other people who have made representation on Kweku's behalf, and so do the Forward Institute. And let's be clear, the Home Office have benefited directly from Kweku's experience. You only need to open a paper any day of the week to see that we're heading for another financial crisis, and we have somebody who has specific expertise, who wants to use those expertise for good. I cannot understand why the Home Office and that judge in particular could not see the opportunity that they have.
Well, the judge, sorry to interrupt, the judge said that you can do that work via the internet.
That's simply not the case.
Okay, well, why is there any reason? I'll get Kweku to answer this one, actually.
Yes,
that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Why couldn't you carry on doing that work from somewhere else?
I mean, this is the same way in which the Home Office says you can run a family through Skype or through video conferencing. You can't run a real relationship via the internet. The work I've done has required me to build real relationships of trust over time with a number of people. And for example, when I went to the SAS for 3 days to do their officer development program, just in August, 4 days before I was detained last time, we spent 3 days together, because in order to deal with the issues that we were talking about, leadership, learning from failure, taking risk in the grey zone, in order to do that, you have to build trust between people. It's very hard to do that when you're not part of the community, when you've been expelled, and without the support network of your friends and family in the community. So it's very, again, I think it's irrational to say that you can run a business relationship or any relationship via Skype when you've been expelled from the community.
We're getting texts. 2 anonymous texters have got in touch. One says the gentleman convicted of fraud should be deported. Absolutely. The country needs to send a clear message to criminals and criminal behaviour. And another says he should be deported. Why is he still here?
I mean, it's a shame that people feel that, because I think they don't understand who I am and what happened at UBS. And they don't understand that what happened at UBS was because of the context in which we were working in, the pressure we were under, and that I never had an intent to make a gain for myself.
You wanted Alice to be with you in the studio. Alice is your partner. You are facing deportation on Monday. What will you do?
Well, we take each day as it comes. You don't look at your death and plan for the moment that comes after your death. We hope that our voice will be heard and that compassion will be shown so that we can get past Monday and take each day after that. Alice's father is really ill, so it's very hard for her not to be with him. So if this happens, what happens is that you break a relationship, you break a family. And it's not just my relationship with Alice that's at stake here. I've got 7 godchildren in the UK. I've got friends I've known since the age of 12, all of whom I will never see again. My identity as a British person, even though I don't have a passport, will be erased.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, suicide is the leading cause of death among